Yes, everybody, thank you for joining us. This is United preview of Fulham versus United in the Premier League. I do apologise for how long it took us to get started today. It is pushed back from our usual start time, but I think you'll be happy with the reasons why. We managed to get Quinton Fortune in for a podcast earlier today, and that'll be going up on Sunday, so definitely keep an eye out for that. He went for something to eat, I think he said, or something to drink with Ollie yesterday, so he's got some info about what's going on with the gaffer, so definitely come and check that out, and that is the reason why we're a little bit late today, but I think, like I said, it's going to be worthwhile for it. Please give the video a like if you're enjoying everything that's going on with Manchester United at the moment. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been given Manager of the Month, and Marcus Rashford, as well as winning United's Player of the Month, has also won the Premier League Player of the Month, which I think is absolutely mega deserved. It's the first time that we've won it since 2012, and it's the first that as a manager that is at United. It's the first time that we've won manager and player at the same time since 2011 when it was Fergie and Berbatov, also January of that year. Now, I had a quick look through as well. I was like, I wonder if we've won manager and player quite a lot together. And yeah, we have a hell of a lot, actually. Cantona won it with Fergie, so has Vidic. Looks like a couple of times, a handful of times Rooney has. Ryan Giggs looks like he's won a few. Scholes, Ronaldo. Not really any shit players have managed to do it. So bodes very well for Marcus, I think, to be winning that, and yeah, that is the one. Very well done on both of those. Big achievement and just proof of what is going on. But we look ahead to the Fulham game. Now, the dilemma, as the title of the video says, is for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get maximum points out of the next two games. Maximum points in the next two games sees us progress in the league, potentially even getting into that top four before the weekend is out, and also giving us a good start going into the second leg in the Champions League, which I got to be honest with you is like, I'm so excited for now. I've not been excited about the Champions League. I really haven't. Like, if any of you watched the draw that I did for Full-Time Devils, the phrase that I used was, here's who gets the honour of knocking United out of the Champions League this season. I don't feel like it's going to be like that no more. I think United have got a very real chance to go out there and actually do something and maybe even progress into the latter stage of the Champions League. Do I think we can win it? No. But I want to go and have a good journey, and I want to go and have a good go against Paris, because I think we can actually beat Paris and get through the tie. I actually think we're gonna get in them. I think we're gonna do them, to be honest. I think that's the top and bottom of it. What was going to go on to next? I think the key man for United this week is going to be Romelu Lukaku. The reason I think it's going to be Lukaku is I think that we're going to drop Marcus Rashford. Now, this is going back to what I was saying a second ago about the dilemma for Ole. He's got to get maximum points this week. You can't take the focus off with Fulham, because Fulham should be a 3 points for United. It should be, regardless of, there's no easy games in the Premier League. I don't give a shit. You've got to beat Fulham. Everybody else is, so we might as well join the queue, haven't we? We've got to beat Fulham, but we've also got to put in a strong showing against Paris, which is going to be a very, very difficult game for us. So I want to see us go out there and win, but we've also got to maybe rest out some players, because we've started to pick up a couple of knocks. Pogba looks like he's got a knock. Amir and Marcus Rashford might have a little bit of a knock. So I want to see these players protected, because those two especially are going to be massively important for us come Tuesday night. So Lukaku, for me, has to have a big performance. Flat track bully, all that sort of stuff that was levelled at him. Let's see it. Let's play him against a shit team, and let's watch him absolutely destroy them. That's what I want to see. We've been playing a game that suits Lukaku lately, more so than we did under Mourinho. But he didn't look great against Leicester. He really didn't look great. He looked like he deserved to be on the bench. He didn't even look like he deserved to be coming off the bench. So this is the opportunity now for Lukaku. He's been out of the limelight since Ole took over. He's had a good 5 or 6 weeks sorting his diet out, getting on top of things in the behind the scenes. Marcus Rashford has took the pressure off him with the performances that he's been doing. Now it's his time to step up and be a real team player for the rest of the lads as well, as it starts to get into being a proper squad game in the meaty end of the season. So I want to see a good game from Lukaku. He's got the opportunity there. I want to see him go out and actually prove that he's a big part of this team. In terms of the starting 11 that I would like to see, I have rotated, and it's hard not to rotate too much, because I did pick a different team, and then I saw what had actually travelled. Fred hasn't travelled. He was in my team. And that really had a knock-on effect for a few different places in there. And also Lindelof, I believe, hasn't travelled as well. So that has caused a couple of the selection issues that I wouldn't have necessarily gone with. But Big Dave in net, Delo at right back, and Shaw at left back. And the reason for that is, I think that, unfortunately, Ashley Young is going to be a massive part of what goes on Tuesday night, and he's been shite of late, shiter than usual. So let's rest him because he's going to have a massive game, no matter who he's against Paris on Tuesday night. And should there be an injury to one of our fullbacks, we haven't got a match fit back up ready to rock and roll. Damian's going to be out, Valencia is out, so Dalot needs to come in and prove that he's good enough to be part of this team. A lot of people clamouring for him. He's got excellent crossing stats, but defensively he's not ready yet for me. We saw against Derby that he wasn't defensively ready enough. So Dalot is an opportunity. It's a winnable game. Get in there and show that you're at this level so you can be a competent backup or even called upon should we have an injury problem later on. Now it is, like I said, the thick end of the season. At centre-half, Bailly and Jones, it's basically the only fit centre-halves that we've got. I believe Chris Smalling might have travelled as well. I don't know what the score is with his fitness, so it makes sense that it'd be Bailly and Jones that probably line up there. They should be more than adequate to deal with what Fulham have got. In midfield, this is where, one, we need to rest, and two, we can't afford to rest. I don't want to see Pereira in there. After his recent performances, he's going to have to work very hard to get back into the team and for people to be demanding that he plays. You've got to play Matic and you've got to play Herrera alongside him. If Herrera and Bailly in this team, I think the intensity stays there no matter who else is around them, because I do want to drop Pogba and I'm going to put Mata in that Pogba role. Obviously a totally different style of footballer, but in terms of creatively pulling the strings, he offers nothing on that right hand side in this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer team. So I'm going for pace in the final third, and I'm hoping Mata sits off in that sort of half space in between defence and midfield and pulls the strings and plays those final balls through for the speed merchants that we've got. And Lukaku leading the line properly like he's supposed to, on the last man, looking to get in behind this defence. Alexis on the left, and I'm giving a start in the Premier League to Tahith Chong, because again, it's another player that we need to know what he's all about. And the reason for that, Marcus Rashford, Jesse Lingard, Paul Pogba and probably Ashley Young are going to be massively important, and I guess Lindelof as well, for how we go down in the Champions League on Tuesday. So I'm resting those guys. Pogba looks like he's got a knock. Rashford looks like he's got a knock. Jesse Lingard is massively important. So I am going to rotate those guys and get them in the team on Tuesday nice and fresh as we take it to Paris. Now, there's been a couple of quotes come out of the press conference and from various places this week, so let's get stuck into them. First one we've got in is off Jesse Lingard talking about Solskjaer and Phelan. He says, Solskjaer and Mike Phelan have brought back the old school Manchester United. They know the league and they know the club inside out. So to pass that on and get us playing how we are has been perfect. A lot of, yeah, obviously, but it's nice that it's actually come out and it's been said, isn't it? Tony Marshall's got a quote as well which has come out, and he says, we have a laugh among ourselves quite often because I think finishing is something that comes naturally to me. The thing that we laugh about is that I miss quite a few times in training, whereas in a match I may only get one chance, but I manage to convert it. I think that's pretty interesting from Tony there, that he's not as accurate in the match. Is that a concentration thing? Or he's more accurate in a match rather than training? Is that a concentration thing? Is that an adrenaline thing? Is that an intensity thing? But it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people say you train as you play. Clearly not in Tony Marshall's case. There's also another quote there from him as well. Pogba is a leader. He talks more in the dressing room than he does on the field, to be fair. Technically, with the spoken word, he is a leader in both senses. I hope he can continue to lead us to great things. It echoes the sort of things we was hearing towards the back end of Jose's reign, doesn't it? That Pogba was trying to unite the players, telling them to play for the badge, and almost like, fuck this guy, you'll play for yourself and that. So I like to hear that. It's happy days. He is coming up to his 27th birthday and entering into his prime years as a centre-half. We are delighted Phil has committed his future to the club. No comment. Next one. It means we've been the team of the month. This is on getting the manager of the month, and this is what I like about Ole, what I've loved about him since he's come to Old Trafford in the manager role. It means that we've been the team of the month, both the staff and the players, so we've done well. We want to be winning games, we want to move up the table, and this is the start of it. I love that, and very well done on getting manager of the month. And the final one we've got, you cannot be a good leader or manager without good players. Sounds familiar. You can't get results without the players, so ultimately it's how they responded responded to what we tell them, and they've been fantastic, so all credit to them. That is exactly everything about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and for me, he has to get the job on a permanent basis now. No ifs, buts or maybes. Ollie needs a job full time. Right, Patreon group has got some questions, so I'm going to head over to the Patreon group. Again, this channel is supported by the absolute legends. All of the graphics and stuff that you're seeing happening on screen, that's not me. I'm doing it hands-free. Someone else is doing that behind the scenes, and that's because of you guys on Patreon. We've been able to give some people some jobs in the media industry, and you guys can keep supporting that and help this channel grow by joining the Patreon group. And you also get to do things like ask Quinton Fortuna questions, and there's tons of behind the scenes vlogs and a Patreon podcast and all sorts of stuff. So if you like the channel, support the channel by buying me a pint essentially a week. That's all it is. It's $5, £4, something along those lines, less than £1 a week. So if you're interested, hit the link in the description and come and join the Patreon group. There's a massive Manchester United community on there. There's all sorts of stuff that pops off on a match day. I definitely highly recommend it. There's some savages in there, but it's a very enjoyable little community if that's something that you're looking for. Somewhere to chat with Reds on a regular basis, and you know, there's not that many crazies in there. Then hit the link up and come and find out all about it. Let's get the questions. That's the podcast questions. This is the preview questions. Is this a bigger test for Ollie and the squad than PSG or Liverpool? On the surface of things, you go, no, absolutely isn't a bigger test for Ollie and the squad than PSG or Liverpool. But Ollie's come out and said himself that this is a real test of the character of this squad, because we know that the bigger game is next week and the week after than Fulham. Going to Fulham should be a foregone conclusion, but yeah, I think this is a hark back to what we saw against Burnley. Can they take their eye off the ball? Are the replacements good enough? It's going to be a big ask. I don't know about a bigger ask than PSG though. Ryan says, with the big games just around the corner, do you reckon we'll see a few youth players involved versus Fulham? Not had anyone on the bench the last few games. I think Ollie's got to really prioritise the league. He's got to get in the top four. That's all he's here for, really. Let's be honest, is to try and get us into the top four. So I have started Chong. That's probably more out of hope and wishful thinking than anything else. It's probably going to be Lingard, or it'll be Mayonnaise in midfield, and Matter will play on the right hand side. But the players are there to do it. I think Ollie's the man to do it, so let's hope that he does it. Arshin says, why is the Deadwood at our club getting long-term contracts? Is it an attempt to inflate their transfer value? I honestly don't think we are going to win anything with the likes of Jones on Young in defence. I totally agree with you, mate. I think it's an absolute joke that we're extending the contracts of players that have been substandard for years and years. I don't think it's a case of trying to protect our investment and get a fee for them, because the issue with United players is their wages. So no one wants to pay their wages on top of a transfer fee. You've got more chance of them just leaving on a Bosman or a free transfer at the end of the season because their contract expires. That to me makes more sense than committing ourselves to another 3 or 4 years for players that clearly aren't good enough. And people go, oh, what's your problem with Young? He's a good backup. Well, he's not a fucking backup, is he? He plays every fucking week and he wears the captain's armband. He's not a backup. And the fact that we're paying him 110 grand a week, people go, oh, it's not your money, why are you asked? Because when you look at it from a pure sensible point of view, that's a first team player. The club's going to have allocated certain wage structure to certain members of the squad and given them roles and responsibilities within the squad. For instance, you're not going to sign somebody to play ahead of Sanchez because of the amount of money that you pay Sanchez. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to sign another £90 million centre forward when you've got Lukaku. Giving Ashley Young the contract that they've just given him, and potentially giving Phil Jones the contract that they've just give him, means that they see them as probably first choice squad players, and that's an issue for me. They're not good enough, and giving them contracts keeps them here when they've not been good enough for years. So that's my issue with it. Connor says, if we use people like Bailey and Small and Jones at centre back, could we use someone like Lindelof at right back? It's not the worst idea I've ever heard, to be honest, especially coming up against somebody like PSG or maybe even Liverpool. When you're looking at it from a pure defensive point of view, and you look at the qualities that Lindelof has as a footballer, he defends the channel very well. So yeah, I think that's not the craziest idea I've ever heard, actually, is putting Lindelof out at right back if you had the competent centre halves alongside him. What do I make of the Jones signing? I mean, rotate or get a consistent 11 that can gel and build an understanding. This is the dilemma, and that's why the video is called Solskjaer's Dilemma. Jack says, would you like to see Young the GOAT at right back or time for Delo to step up? Jack, I will fucking ban you. And Matthew says, Fulham under Ranieri are defensive at the best of times, only often playing 5 at the back. I believe Ranieri will be extra cautious considering our recent run of good form and will probably concede possession. How much of a threat do you think Fulham are on the counter, considering their main counter-attacking asset is Sessegnon and he's always benched? Secondly, do you think players like Mata and Andreas suit this type of game, which will probably control the ball? Yes, Pereira not so much, because I think he's got a lot to prove. Pereira could be an option on that right hand side. I don't know if he travelled, actually. I didn't actually see his name. So Pereira could be an option on that right hand side, but I've gone with pace a little bit to try to get in behind them. But I like you, I understand that it's going to be very, very difficult to get behind this Fulham team that's not really going to be that adventurous. I'm hoping because they're at home they're going to at least put half an effort in. So it could go down to a set piece, it could come down to, I don't know. It's going to be a very tough ask to get 2 wins from the next 2 games, and that is what I am hoping to do. Andrew in YouTube comments says, either way I think we beat Fulham. Burnley had a much better squad and organisation to park the bus. Could be. When are we going to see Greenwood? Says Tom. I hope it's this season. I think it'll be this season. Parr says, if Sanchez played, it should be from the right. Yeah, I don't know why he's not been tried on the right so far. And I'd give Anthony Martial the opportunity if he was going to put Sanchez on the right hand side. Maybe we keep him nice and fresh for the midweek game, because I think Pogba and Tony Martial are going to have a lot to prove against Paris. Right, that is it from me. Please like the video if you enjoyed the content. Come back and join us for United Review tomorrow, and that podcast with Quinton Fortune will be up on Sunday, so please subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys for watching the channel. I'll see you in the next one.